Any thoughts on toxic bile theory? There's a lot of nonsense. It's nonsensical. It's a lot of reductionist science. G'day, Lukey.
Hey, hi Harry. Hello everyone.
So that secondary bile is the driver of disease. No, it's not. It's bullshit. It's all of this. It usually what it is. Bile is required to cleanse the small intestine. Bile is required to emulsify, the actual fats and all that, so you can absorb them better, the fat soluble vitamins and all that. So it has an important role. It has an important role for functions around the body as well. So people that have got a lot of urological disease tend to have lower bile secretion. So it's not a problem. Where all this nonsense has come from, this toxic bile theory, is all, from epidemiology studies or certain mechanistic studies which are completely fabricated with a lot of seed oils and many other things, and they're blaming the bile that they're actually putting in there and all that, where they're deranging with all these other substances the normal sort of recycling of bile through the bottom of the small intestine, and so you end up flushing too much bile into the large intestine, the colon, and there it can actually create some problems where it can actually muck up the gut microbiome in the colon. That's where it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be recycled and recovered at the end of the small intestine. So you don't want a bit goes in there, a small amount, and that's fine, but a large amount is a problem. That is a problem of basically being able to recycle it. And usually it's when people are on diets, inappropriate diets like vegetarian, vegan diets and all that, they tend to have these derangements in bile. I mean, it's no wonder that the majority of people that go to naturopaths are vegans and vegetarians, because they usually have the majority of gut diseases and problems and issues like that, because they are deranging a lot of, they usually have the highest gallbladder issues. Again, use it or lose it. They usually have the most, activation of derangements of the FXR gene in in their system. Again, that's another reason why they supplement heavily milk thistle. A lot of the vegans and vegetarians for the same reason. As I say, just give them a damn steak, and they'd eventually over time resolve all these problems. But you won't see it in carnivorous societies. These things don't exist. IBS and stuff like that if in traditional Inuit societies is non-existent, in traditional Maasai societies is non-existent. The only people that you find that have certain health problems, Maasai, are when you go to Nairobi and you look at people there who are not doing an ancestral diet. They're eating other crap. They live in the city, in the capital of Kenya. And so the Maasai that live in the capital of Kenya, they do have more atherosclerosis. They do have a lot of these issues, where the people living in the tribal areas don't have these problems. But those people are eating seed oils and refined sugars. They're not only doing their ancestral diets. Yes, they are having some meat. They are having some milk, because that's part of their tradition. So they haven't completely given up on that. But what they have done is included a whole lot of inappropriate foods now. And that's when they actually did the autopsies in Kenya, in the capital, in Nairobi, because these were all done in Nairobi. They were actually finding people with some of these conditions. And I'm going, and as if we don't know why, because most of the people in the tribal areas, they get buried in the tribal areas. They don't end up in a morgue. And they'll basically say, oh, some of these people had come from the tribal areas. And I'm going, really? Have you actually certified their, like their ID and exactly where they lived and all that? Oh, no. Well, then how can you make that claim? And that's what a lot of people make, that sort of claim. And I'm going, try again. And if you're doing a naturalistic observation, on a population and then making determinations after autopsy, then you don't really have much of a leg to stand on because you haven't actually done control study anyway. And you have to explain how some of these people are living well over 100 if they have this condition. You know, why do the Maasai why are there centenarians in the tribal area and no centenarians in Nairobi, the capital of Kenya? Well, I suspect they're doing something different. They're not doing their traditional diet anymore. That's why, you know. So, I mean, I've got longevity genes. My great-grandfather lived to 107. My uncle, who was was a good drinker, let's say. I won't go into, trashing his name now that he's dead. But he lived to 93. But didn't do any seed oils or anything like that. No, none of the toxic stuff. But, had a bit of alcohol, did a bit of smoking many years ago and stuff like that. So there are reasons. So we've got to be very careful because a lot of this sort of stuff is coming from the veganerized community, the plant-based community, all these theories, because it's their own people that are suffering them because they're eating inappropriate things. So it's simple as that.